Yeah, of course they followed that up with saying, oh, you should actually gravitate towards vegetable oil. That's much more healthy than these saturated fats.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is so not true. Let me put it this way. The oils that you are supposed to be consuming and that are actually good for you are the ones that were created by God and Mother Nature and that human beings in their natural environment would consume. Now, olive oil counts because you can take olives and squeeze them and get oil out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also true for some nut oils. But where, without modern industrial processing, where or how would humans have ever consumed oil from corn, from soybeans, from rape seeds, which is where canola oil comes from? They just didn't want to call it rape oil. Uh,
Huh.
None of these are oils that human beings would consume. And they're not only not good for us, several of them are actively bad for us. All we have to do is look what's happened since human beings started consuming all these vegetable oils. 100 years ago, our fats were tallow, lard, butter. We consumed way more of those oils and those fats than we do now.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but then we started consuming a lot more vegetable oil. Has it been good for our health? Has heart disease gone down since 100 years ago? I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how does your family feel about your views on nutrition?
My immediate family, my wife and kids,
Yeah.
here's the
Are
thing.
they all vegans? That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, then we would be the odd couple.
Yeah.
Uh, the thing is, fats are delicious. So it's really not hard to convince a kid that they should eat fat.
Yeah.
When we sit down and eat steaks or pork chops or something, my daughters will actually we don't trim the fat off, of course. They'll actually cut the fat off the end and they'll eat that first, and then they'll try to steal it from my plate. So trying to get them to eat quality fatty food is not difficult at all. I've also heard forever that, oh, it's hard to get kids to eat vegetables. Well, yeah, if you steam the vegetables and then you put on a little margarine or something, they probably won't like them. My girls love vegetables because they get their vegetables drenched in butter. They eat those
Mm.
babies right up.
Yeah.
Mighty tasty and nutritious too.
Oh, yeah.
And they never ask for cereal or things like that. We don't want to be food Nazis. I don't want to give my kids food issues by, making things that they like verboten. So if they ask for a sandwich, they get it.
Hmm.
If they go to school and someone's passing out cupcakes, they can have it. But what's interesting is a lot of times they say, no thanks. So
Interesting.
they eat a little more sugar and a little more starch than I do. But compared to what most people eat, especially what most kids
What about
eat,
training your taste buds?
bingo, that's the other thing. If you're constantly bombarding your taste buds with sweet tastes, you eventually need sweeter and sweeter tastes. I even got off Diet Coke. I used to drink Diet Coke. I even got off of that maybe 6 months ago. And after a couple months away from it, I grabbed one day. I drank about a fourth of it and I threw the rest away. After getting away from that flavor, it didn't even taste good anymore.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I used to be a big soda fan, and now the taste of it it's just awful. I mean, yeah, I can have a couple sips, but to have a whole 12 ounces, I think I'd throw up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think most parents tend to basically think that the kids naturally want these junk food and snacks, sweets, and all that stuff because it's prevalent everywhere you see. All the checkout stands have got all that garbage. So they end up creating what they most fear, I guess, in the kids. Rather than introducing them to a healthy sort of way of eating, the kids are naturally going to spurn that stuff because they're going to realize that it's not good for them.
Yeah, and my girls have realized even when they do want a little candy, say Halloween, of course, they got some candy, they wanted to eat some candy. We said, okay, you can have one or two of these a day. They've actually noticed that they don't feel so good afterwards.
Hmm.
And we all notice that they tend not to be in the best of moods afterwards. So I'm pleased that they actually, most of the time, make pretty smart decisions about it. Even when it's available, they'll say no thanks, or they'll have a little bit. They don't tear into a bag of candy. They know it's bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, blood sugar spikes. So do you have anything in sight for like a follow-up, or are you doing some more research in this area of nutrition and food?
I would love to do a follow up. The thing is, Fathead's been out on DVD in the US. There are plans to DVD releases in other countries at some point. It's a slower process than I would have expected. It's going to be on DVD in Canada coming out, I think, in another month or two. Before I would do another film, I would need to make back my investment on this one.
Sure.
because despite what some people think, I was not funded by McDonald's. I was funded by me. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but I do have other ideas. One thing that occurred to me while I was researching this is there is way, way more bad science out there than I ever would have suspected.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be a fascinating topic to do a documentary on how bad science occurs, what good science is and what bad science is. I would hope, of course, to make it amusing like I did with some of the science in Fathead,
Sure.
and just explain what bad science is and why it's so prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think scientists were really surprised when they discovered through double-blind studies that they were wrong. That how could
Hmm.
they be that wrong? They saw it with their own eyes, right?
All right.
But this
Yeah,
confirmation bias is so prevalent and entrenched in almost in human nature. It's like you want to find anecdotal evidence to support what you believe rather than critically examine and try to be skeptical and try to falsify what you believe.
yeah, exactly. And in a wonderful book called The Cholesterol Myths, Dr. Ufi Ravenskog went and looked up a lot of these studies that said, fat kills, cholesterol kills. He found in some cases, not only were the conclusions of the study not supported by the data, in a few cases, the conclusions of the study were actually the exact opposite of what the hard data showed.
Amazing.
Now, unfortunately, your average media reporter is not trained in science. And what do they read? The conclusion.
Yeah.
All right.
And then they write the story from there. So there is a lot of bad science out there. There's a lot of bad reporting on science out there, which is why, you'll hear people make jokes. So study shows eggs are bad. And they say, well, wait 2 weeks. The next one will say they're good.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
there's truth to that. And it's because of bad science and bad reporting on science. Sometimes even if the science is good, the reporting is bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just look at the boldness with CSPI guy, the way they introduced the trans fats as a good thing and then had to recant, right?
Yeah.
And what was really frustrating about it, annoying about it, was they didn't recant for a long time.
Yeah.
They, of course, were the ones who sort of initiated the campaign to get rid of the tallow and the lard for frying in restaurants. And we now know, of course, those fats are not only not bad for you, they actually have health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got the trans fats pushed in. Again, because they're vegetarians, by gosh, anything that's vegetable oil must be good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when it turned out that trans fats were actually damaging, the guy from CSPI did not stand up and pound his chest and say mea culpa. They basically, first they insisted they were safe. Then when it became obvious that they weren't, they just went silent on the issue.
Yeah.
Just
Brilliant.
went completely silent.